Well, we're here this morning with James Ohl at the Powell Ranch. Can you give us a little bit of a background on your family and how long they've been in this area and what kind of ranching enterprises they have been a part of?
Right, absolutely. Uh, my granddad's grandfather, so that'd be my great great grandfather, started his ranching operation when he came to Texas from Tennessee in the late 1800s, and he began in West Texas and even in New Mexico. He started his first sheep flock in the late 1800s, maybe even early 1900s, in Roswell, New Mexico, and after the coldest winter on record, he brought his sheep back to Texas, shipped them into San Angelo, and so it was my great great grandfather that brought our family's ranching operation
So you're fifth
into this.
generation?
That's right, fifth
Can
generation.
you tell us a little bit about kind of where we're at and the landscape?
Sure. We're in halfway in between Menard and El Dorado, right next to Fort McCavitt. A few miles to our west is the Divide, which is by some considered the split between the hill country and West Texas, near El Dorado. And we average 20 inches of rainfall a year, and we have some dry years and some wet years, and the geography is, we've got some hills, and some other country is flatter than we are here.
Okay. So what livestock what species of livestock have been a part of this ranch?
Here on this ranch, you'll see registered Herefords, which have been a part of my granddad's operation for the past several decades. We've run Hereford cattle. I believe it was my great granddad that initially purchased the first set of Herefords, and that was really one of my granddad's greatest passions, along with his Rambouillet sheep flock, his registered Hereford cattle. You'll see also Rambouillet sheep, and that's what we're shearing today. Those are the two species that you'll see here. We also run a commercial operation of Angus and Hereford cross cattle.
Okay. So why the two species? Why do you run sheep and cattle?
Sheep, well, it's making the most out of the land. I think that we get a good, we can run more animal units to the acre, and it provides more revenue, producing multiple products for diversification's sake. It works well for us.
So, talking about the season of production, do you lamb and calve once a year within a defined period, and why do you do that? And explain that as a part of the seasonal, rainfall, forage production, so on and so forth.
Okay, so typically we have warm winters, so we can calve and lamb in the early spring. Some might even consider it winter. We'll begin calving in January, and really our lambing begins in February. And it works well for us because those fresh lambs and calves will hit the ground, and we'll catch rainfall hopefully come springtime as it warms up. And it provides a really healthy environment with lots of forage for these calves, lambs, and their mothers to prosper in.
Yeah. Yeah.
During the summer, it gets very hot, and I think it helps for those animals, those young animals, to have a little bit of life and have had some growth under their belt before they hit the summertime. Usually we'll ship lambs early summer, and with the registered herd of cattle, we'll sell them as bulls at a year and a half old. So we actually hold them over until they're about 18 months old. Supposedly, when people settled this land, the only thing that was here besides the grass were live oak trees. You would never see any mesquite or cedars, like we talked about, and unfortunately, there are a lot of invasive species that have come into play. We try to clear a good bit of land every year through aerial spraying, mechanical clearing, and hand spraying, as well as controlled burning. We use those where they're needed and where we think we get the best bang for our buck. And clearing land is a hard thing to do. You can't get it all in 1 year, but you have to set aside a handful of places that you think are the most important that it be cleared, and go after it and be diligent about it.
It's a little bit more about your prescribed burning techniques?
Sure. We don't do any prescribed burns here on this ranch, but on another place we will. We have some cedar regrowth from a mechanical project that was done in the 2000s, and so it's created an environment that it's really pretty necessary to burn there, because we'll have cedar regrowth that's up to the waist or even higher in some places. And the most efficient way, the quickest way, and the most cost-effective way of getting rid of it is through prescribed burns. And we'll have a burn manager come out and assess the situation. We'll clear fire guards around the pasture, and we'll pick a day with good weather and appropriate winds, and we'll light fire to it. And most of the time, you'll see regrowth almost immediately, and especially if you have rainfall immediately after, and you'll see that wildlife especially flocks back to the area. We will set livestock aside for a couple of months following the burn until we get healthy regrowth and the root system and the forage is reestablished.
That regrowth mostly being grass.
That regrowth mostly being grass, yes. Yes. And we've seen that where we've burned, we've seen a lot of increased vegetation, better forage, healthier grasses, better types of grasses, and it eliminates prickly pear, which is seen as a pest, and those other species don't come back. They're knocked back, and it really creates room for your good grasses to flourish, especially if you do it at the right time of year.
And what about your wildlife resources? Can you talk to us a little bit about how you protect or maintain those resources?
Well, we have on this ranch we use MLDP permits to keep the whitetail population at an appropriate level, and we come out. We'll do a survey every year, and they will request and submit harvest applications for us to take out a certain number of whitetail that we need to every year. I think that helps, especially in this area, because it can get overpopulated very quickly with white-tailed deer. That'd be the primary way that we manage our wildlife resources.
Because of your ranching enterprises or ranching operations, it creates a great habitat for white-tailed deer. And it's not that we don't have them, but sometimes we have too many for their own good. And
right,
so
it does.
Maintain that population
it does,
at a
and
stable level.
And especially if the populations now are very healthy, because we've been lucky the past couple of years to have a large amount of rainfall. But say a drought were to come through and vegetation was drastically decreased, the deer would be very, very unhealthy, along with probably some of the livestock too, just because of a vastly reduced vegetation supply.
And we also think about predator control. The ranch employs some predator management techniques to protect wildlife, or to protect your livestock, but wildlife are going to benefit from that as well.
Right, right. Not only do coyotes get after lambs and kid goats, but they'll take down deer and things of that sort. And so we'll have those that live on the ranches will trap as they can, and the county also provides trappers in some instances to come out and to take care of predator issues, and we keep a sharp eye out for coyotes, bobcats, things of that sort, and they can really put a dent in a lamb crop as well as a fawn crop, or any other vulnerable species that is out there for them to prey on.
So what are we doing today at the ranch?
Today we're shearing our yearling ewes that will become our replacements for our Rambouillet sheep flock. And this is an annual thing. We'll shear the whole sheep flock, and today is the second day. It'll last a couple of weeks, and so this will be what it looks like for the next, I'd say, 13, 14 work days.
So the wool that we're harvesting today, where do you market it? Why do you raise Rambouillet sheep? Tell us a little bit about the wool, the fiber side of the business.
Okay, the fiber side of the business has been a business for 5 generations, since the late 1800s, and we raise sheep, and we look for the genetics of fine fiber diameter, long staple length, amongst a handful of other things. We also look at the physicality of the ewes to produce healthy, large lambs when we sell lambs. The wool industry took somewhat of a hit in the early 90s with the termination of the wool incentive. Many producers got out of the business, but we think that raising fine wool sheep provides a good secondary set of income that we can balance with selling our lambs along with our cattle, and it works well for us. It provides that diversity in a ranching operation that I think that really benefits us. We will select replacements based off of their quality wool, that being fineness, fiber diameter, as well as staple length. We'll get them in a little pen and go through them, pull their wool apart, and judge them based on their wool quality. And we'll separate the superior ones into an A flock that we have here, and we'll ship our B flock over to another place. And really, we raise our best wool here on this ranch.
So a lot of folks would say that people that stay in livestock or agriculture would stay in it for the lifestyle. It's the way that they want to live. Can you
Right.
tell us a little bit about what this lifestyle brings the biggest value to you? What do you enjoy the most on a day-to-day basis?
Well, a lot of it is being outside and having the freedom to get out and to work hard, long days in the outdoors. Taking care of animals traditionally is seen as part of the benefit of this lifestyle, and I think that living on a ranch, you have a lot of freedom, and it's up to those that are on it to keep themselves motivated, and I think that's probably what it takes to be a successful person in this business, is being self-motivated.
So Britt, we're here at the Powell Ranch today. It's shearing day. You're shearing the yearlings this morning.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? Can you tell us a little bit about ranching in this part of the world and your role in the operation?
Okay. This operation here, it's a diversified operation. We have Rambouillet sheep, registered cattle, commercial cattle. We also do some farming strictly for forage that we use ourselves, either through grazing or we'll bale it. Yeah. So we're a diversified operation. We raise our own replacement ewe lambs, our own replacement cattle, and also we sell Rambouillet rams private treaty to those that are in the fine wool business.
Okay. All right. How long have you been with the operation?
That'll be 11 years next month.
So is most all of this on native pasture? Do you run animals out on any improved pasture or annual crops, or?
95% of what we operate is based off on native rangeland. We do have some improved pastures that the registered cattle are, primarily our bulls and our bull development program, that are on improved pasture, but the majority is native rangeland.
So what are the biggest challenges that y'all have had to face in the last 5-10 years?
Rainfall, 2011, that drought is still definitely on our mind. Currently on this particular ranch, we're having some issues with predators. We've probably experienced about a 15% reduction in our lamb crop, and we can attribute that to coyotes, and so that's what we're working on.
Has coyotes always been a bit of a problem in this area, or is this becoming more of an issue?
It's a continual battle, and you know, it's the same old story that as some of your neighbors are no longer in production, you have to fight alone. And so we've tried to be proactive with our neighbors, and if they are not in the sheep or the goat business, to try to at least have them pay into our county program, which helps afford us to hire a trapper to keep predators at bay.
Yeah. What do you see into the future as far as marketability of the animals, the lands, the people that are here, the labor resources, things like that?
Well, I think the future is bright. We're still going to continue to eat. We're still going to want red meat to eat. We still like our wool suits and our wool vests, and it is a commodity. There's highs and lows. There's good years with rainfall, and there's bad years. It's just if it's something that you enjoy doing and you're providing a product that the people need, then you know you feel good about it at the end of the day.
What do you like most about being a part of this ranching business?
Being involved with the livestock, and probably the second thing would be involved with the people that are in that business. You know, your neighbors around here, they're in the same business. I guess you could say they're your competitors, but they're also your friends and good neighbors, and it's a unique group of people that do this kind of work.
Yeah. You know, the general public sometimes, you know, may see animal agriculture when we're selling animals for meat as a business, and that we don't really, you know, it's about making money. It's not about caring for a pet, you know, someone that maybe not be in the livestock side of things. What is your, you know, response to that? I mean, you're with the animals all the time. Is there things out here that aren't good for animal welfare but are good for business, or is it all, you know, the better that we care for the animals, the better they're going to, you know, return profits back to the operation?
If your livestock are not doing well, regardless of what stage they're in, it's not profitable. And you know, you can throw a lot of feed at them, but here we're forage based on native rangeland, and so what's key to us is keeping in balance our stocking rates, the number of males that we have out there based on what our forage conditions is. We do a rotational program. We adjust our stocking rates based on what those conditions are, and it's something that we're continually monitoring, and we always, you know, you have to be able to make some adjustments in it, but we have to try to protect the primary resource, which is the land.
So, you know, some would say that if we remove the livestock and just left the land, that the land would be healthier without them there. What do you see as the land resource whenever that forage is being harvested at a reasonable rate with the livestock, and how it maintains the land?
Well, you know, one thing, talking about that, keeping things in balance, we have a biologist that we do a wildlife survey every year, and we try to keep the deer numbers in balance of what this rangeland will support. And if you did not have any human involvement or any management of that resource, I think you would see a depletion in the quality and the quantity of the browse and the other weeds and stuff that deer prefer. And that's just one example, being that, you know, we're here, and I think it's our duty to try to manage that, keep numbers in check. If we didn't, I think we would see a different landscape than we have right now.
Right. And a lot of our wildlife, especially deer, you know, sometimes are do better in a population where livestock have harvested, you know, half the forage, because you get some forage regrowth that doesn't really get coarse. Cattle are known for eating coarser grass. That regrowth is better for the deer than it is if you let it get coarse and get really choked out. And even our quail and other things, we have good research now that shows that with moderate grazing, it creates trails, and so livestock being managed can do a purpose that we can then supply food and fiber to people, but also maintain those rangelands and healthy wildlife populations.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.